My name is Nabago. I am 10 years old, and I have lived my entire life in this village. It is a place where every face is familiar, and every path is well trodden by my small feet. I live in a small village nestled at the foot of Mount Pektu. Our village is surrounded by nature's beauty, with the mountain standing tall and proud, watching over us like a silent guardian. The mountain is a harsh mistress. She is beautiful, with her snow-capped peak and slopes covered in pine trees. In the spring, the forest comes alive with the songs of birds and the rustle of leaves. But in winter, the mountain transforms into a realm of ice and snow, where the cold bites deep and the winds howl like wolves. But she is also dangerous. Winters are long and cruel, and the mountain spirits are said to roam the forests, preying on the weak. The elders tell stories of these spirits, warning us to stay close to the village when the snow falls thick and heavy. My father is Nabago. He is a big man, with muscles that bulge like rocks under his skin. He spends his days working in the fields and training with the other men, honing his strength and skills. He is a powerful fighter, the strongest in our village. Everyone fears him, everyone respects him. When he walks through the village, people step aside, their eyes filled with a mix of awe and fear. I used to admire him. As a child, I would watch him with wide eyes, dreaming of the day I could be as strong and respected as he is. But admiration can turn to fear, and dreams can become nightmares. My mother was Malop Hakro. She was the gentlest soul I knew. Her touch was soft, her voice a soothing melody that could calm even the most troubled heart. She had eyes that sparkled like the stars reflected in the lake near our village. Those eyes held a warmth and kindness that made everyone feel safe and loved. She smelled of pine needles and wood smoke. The scent would linger in the air long after she had passed, a reminder of her presence and the love she carried with her. She had a laugh that could chase away the darkest clouds. Her laughter was like a ray of sunshine breaking through the storm, bringing light and joy to everyone around her. I loved my mother more than anything in the world. She was my anchor, my safe haven in a world that could be harsh and unforgiving. But my father took her away from me. His strength, once a source of admiration, became a source of fear and pain. The man I once looked up to became the monster that haunted my dreams. I remember the night it happened. It was a night like no other, one that would be etched into my memory forever. I was only 7 years old, a mere child trying to make sense of the world around me. The innocence of youth shielded me from the harsh realities. But that night the veil was lifted. The fire danced in our hearth, casting flickering shadows on the walls of our hut. The warmth of the flames was a stark contrast to the cold tension that filled the room. My father had been drinking. The bottle was his escape, his way of drowning the sorrows that plagued his mind. He always drank when he was angry, and lately he was angry more often than not. The alcohol fueled his rage, turning him into someone I barely recognized. And that night, he was furious. His anger was a storm, brewing and building until it could no longer be contained. He was shouting at my mother, his voice like thunder echoing through the small space. Each word was a lightning bolt, striking fear into my heart. I huddled in a corner, fear gripping my heart like a vice. The shadows seemed to close in around me, suffocating and relentless. I didn't understand what they were arguing about. The words were lost on me, but the tone was unmistakable. It was the sound of a family fracturing, but I knew it was bad. Then, it happened. There was a struggle. My mother cried out. My father roared. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in as their voices grew louder. I squeezed my eyes shut, unable to bear the sight of their shadows twisting violently against the wall. The flickering firelight turned their struggle into a grotesque dance. When I opened my eyes again, my father was gone. The door was ajar, and the cold night air seeped into the room, chilling me to the bone. My mother lay on the floor, her eyes staring vacantly at the ceiling. The life that once sparkled in them was gone, replaced by an empty void. Her body was still, too still. The stillness was deafening, a silence that screamed louder than any words ever could. A dark stain spread across her chest, like a venomous flower blooming on white silk. It was a sight that would haunt me for the rest of my life, a night when the fire danced and everything changed. That night, something inside me broke. The fear was still there, gnawing at the edges of my heart. But it was overshadowed by something else, something cold and hard, something that whispered for vengeance. I knew then that I would never be safe as long as my father lived. He had taken away the only person who ever truly loved me, and for that, he had to pay. I swore on my mother's grave that I would avenge her death. I would train, I would become strong, and one day I would make Nabago Kuru pay for what he had done. I left the village as soon as I was old enough. I traveled east to the land where the sun rises. I had heard whispers of ancient fighting styles practiced in those lands, styles that could make a man a weapon. I found a teacher, an old master named Master Li. He was a small man, but his eyes held the wisdom of 1,000 lifetimes. He agreed to teach me Kung Fu. The training was brutal. Master Li showed me no mercy. Every day started before sunrise and ended long after the moon had climbed into the sky. He pushed me to my limits and beyond, honing my body and mind into a weapon. I learned to strike with the speed and precision of a viper. I learned to block blows that could shatter stone. I learned to harness my inner strength, to channel my rage into focus. Years passed. I grew taller, stronger. My body, once thin and wiry, became lean and muscled. My punches, once weak and clumsy, became swift and powerful. But Kung Fu alone wasn't enough. I needed something more. Something to complement the fluidity and grace of the dragon with raw power and aggression. I had heard whispers of another fighting style, practiced in a land far to the south. A style that combined brutal strikes with deadly clinches. A style known as Muay Thai. So I left Master Li's tutelage and journeyed south, to the land of steaming jungles and ancient temples. There I found my new teacher, a grizzled old warrior named Kru Sang. Section 6. The Dance of Strength. Muay Thai was everything Kung Fu wasn't. It was a stark contrast to the fluid, almost poetic movements of Kung Fu. Where Kung Fu emphasized grace and balance, Muay Thai was about raw power and efficiency. It was brutal, direct, and unforgiving. Every strike was meant to incapacitate, every move designed to dominate the opponent. Kru Sang taught me how to use my entire body as a weapon. He showed me that every part of my body could be turned into a tool of destruction. My shins became steel bars, my elbows sharpened blades. Each training session was a step closer to transforming my body into a living weapon. I learned to strike with my knees, turning them into battering rams that could break through any defense. My feet, swift and deadly, became tools of precision. Even my head was not spared. It became a weapon in its own right. The training was even more grueling than what I had endured under Master Li. Each session pushed me to my limits and beyond, but I embraced the pain. Each drop of sweat, each bruise, each aching muscle was a testament to my dedication. It was fuel for the fire that burned inside me, the fire of vengeance. Every moment of agony was a reminder of why I was doing this. I trained for hours on end, perfecting my punches, kicks, elbows, and knees. Each strike had to be perfect, each movement precise. I trained for hours on end, perfecting my punches, ensuring that each one could deliver maximum impact. Kicks, elbows, and knees were honed to perfection, each one a testament to my relentless pursuit of mastery. I sparred with the other students, testing my skills and pushing my limits, many of whom were bigger and more experienced than me. But I saw each challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger, but I never backed down. I faced each opponent with unwavering determination. I fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, driven by a primal instinct to survive and conquer. The memory of my mother's death fueling my every move. Her loss was the fire that ignited my spirit, pushing me to become the warrior I was destined to be. Section 7. Body of Iron. As I honed my fighting skills, I also sculpted my body into a weapon. I knew that to defeat my father, I needed more than just technique. I needed raw strength. I started with simple exercises. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats. I trained until my muscles screamed for mercy, until my body trembled with exhaustion. I lifted logs, carried boulders, ran until my lungs burned and my legs felt like lead. Slowly, my body began to transform. My muscles grew larger, denser, my chest expanded, my shoulders broadened. My once thin arms became corded with muscle. My fists hardened into weapons capable of crushing stone. Section 8. The spirit of a warrior. But physical strength was only half the equation. To defeat my father, I needed to be strong in mind and spirit as well. I spent hours meditating, honing my focus, learning to control my anger. I visualized our confrontation, over and over again, preparing myself for every possible scenario. I refused to let fear cripple me. I would not let hatred consume me. I channeled those emotions, turning them into a cold, steely determination. I would not rest until I had faced my father and avenged my mother's death. That was my promise. That was my purpose. Section 9. Ready to fight. Years have passed since that fateful night. Years of pain, sweat, and relentless training. Now, I am ready. My body is a weapon, forged in the fires of vengeance. My mind is sharp, my spirit unbreakable. I am no longer the scared little boy who watched his mother die. I am Nabago Kuru, a warrior, and I am coming for you, Nabago Kuru. Prepare yourself.